It's no secret that Nintendo is very secretive about some of the most basic information when it comes to their characters, to an extremely annoying degree. A good majority of their characters don't have an established age, birthday, or height. Seriously, there are only 7 Mario characters with a confirmed birthday, 9 if you count Bowser and Bowser Jr. from that one video. Only Mario has a confirmed height, and that came from measuring a life-size statue, and then there's their age. This company is doing everything within their power to make sure you don't know anyone's age outside of Mario's who they've stated, even if it was already stated. Seriously, just look at the 1000 Year Door remake. They removed every mention of age from the emails, which is bullshit. But enough venting, you read the title. Of all the characters in the Mario franchise, Ashley causes the most confusion when it comes to establishing her age, and surprisingly enough, it isn't only Nintendo's fault. In this video, I'll be going over the various statements, if they even can be called that, and evidence revolving around Ashley's age, and either explaining, making sense of, or debunking them, and at the end, attempting to answer the question, how old is Ashley? The oldest statement on Ashley's age comes from the American version of the WarioWare Touched website. I, however, cannot show you a screenshot of it, as this statement was removed from the website while it was still up, and the website itself was deleted. But it wasn't just deleted, it was scrubbed from the internet entirely, as any archive of it and every Touch site before the original Japanese were removed from the internet archive. Assholes. But we do have the original statement. 15 going on 500, this wisecracking teenage witch stirs up magic potions and bewitching microgames in equal measure. Play well or you might find yourself the mystery ingredient in her next potion. This is the only statement from Nintendo themselves. Everything from here on is not. Now, normally I would never pull a quote or statement from any source outside of Japanese or American English, but for the sake of this discussion, I figured I'd go over every major mention of Ashley's age. Next is from the Chinese localization of the WarioWare Touch microsite by iQ, a Chinese gaming company that localizes Nintendo consoles and games for the mainline Chinese market. Translating Ashley's description states, "This playful little witch, who always seems to be in her teens, stirs up magical potion and casts spells on minigames. Have fun or you might just find yourself as the ingredient in her next potion." The 3 kanji used to describe Ashley's age, I'm not gonna try and pronounce that, just look at the screen, means in one's teens or teenager. If you try to translate this yourself, you may get one that states that she's 10 years old, but that would be a mistranslation due to the fact that the first character alone means 10. This statement is likely the result of the localization of the American Touch site before it was changed. This is where the Nintendo claims end and we dive into fan interpretations. In April of 2012, the Super Mario wiki page for Ashley and Red were edited to include an unclaimed source that Ashley was a 6-year-old in the original Japanese version of WarioWare Touched, and the same user would later change the 6 to 8 on the same day. This edit would stay up for over a year until it was removed in November 2013. As a result of this, many would go on to repeat and question this misinformation. This final statement is completely irrelevant as it was an April Fool's joke, so I'm not going to go too in depth, but the Nintendo Badge Arcade presented a game called Crazy Galaxy, which included an older Ashley, where the arcade bunny questions about her looking more mature now. I mean, of course she looks more mature, she's taller than ever in this concept art. So to recap, the American WarioWare Touch website stated Ashley was 15 before removing it. The Chinese localization would reiterate this, stating she's a teenager, and every other mention of her age comes from misinformation as a result of an unsighted edit to a Mario wiki. If we go by what Nintendo said beforehand, we can say that Ashley is either exactly 15 or can be implied to be a teenager. While some may argue that they took the statement back, I don't think that people are going to take that as an answer. Take for example the 1000 Year Door remake example I brought up earlier. I don't think anyone is going to stop believing Toadsworth is 60 just because they removed any mention of age in the Switch version. While I wish this were the end of this, remember how I said some of the age discourse wasn't just caused by Nintendo? While I touched on this a bit earlier, fans have used various traits of Ashley's depiction in the Japanese versions of the games to justify why she must be around the age of the younger members of WarioWare. The question now now is if any of their reasoning is valid. The first of these points is her voice.
おしゅり、フォーカス、フォーカス、成功ね。
I don't really have anything to say about this, so let's move on. Next is the fact that Ashley, when speaking, addresses herself in the third person. This is often seen as a trait amongst young children in Japanese media. I can see how this directly indicates that Ashley is supposed to be young, especially when compared to other young characters such as Anya from Spy X Family.
アーニャを知ると世界が平和に。アーニャ、ピーナッツが好き。アーニャ偉い。アーニャこれ好き。
Is that really the only example I have? And that's it. Really, that's it? Huh, I thought there'd be more. With that stated, I think it's safe to say that in Japanese, Ashley is intended to be a young character. But wait, the evidence used to establish Ashley's age in Japan is completely contradicted by her portrayal in English. From what we're given in English, it's nearly impossible to claim that she's young even without the use of the deleted statement. I did say nearly impossible. There's the girly line in Ashley's song and the stuffed bunny she carries around, but that could be sentimental. For those of you who have played WarioWare Gold and look at the record descriptions, the Japanese version of Ashley's song is described as being not quite as dark as the original, and if you looked into the lyrics, you'd probably be questioning what the fuck you just read.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
So the answer to all of this confusion is clear as day. Ashley's characterization in English and Japan are vastly different. I could just make a separate video on this, but there's not a lot to go over, so I'll just do it here. The only major difference between her portrayals besides her voice is her dialogue. Profiles and descriptions are nearly the same. English Ashley is sarcastic and wisecracking with her commentary, while Japanese Ashley is much more shy and reserved and has fairly limited commentary. The best examples of this are in Touched and Get It Together. In Touched, Japanese Ashley ends her story by consoling Brett after his failure to capture Orbulon, ending with her exclaiming in frustration over being out of materials. English Ashley does the same, except instead of being upset due to a lack of materials, she says she'll just use red as the ingredient instead. Then there's Get It Together, where the most noticeable contrast is. For English Ashley, when the group find her, she laments about her fun being ruined due to their arrival. When Wario tells her she's gonna help them defeat the game bugs, she asks, "Why should I?" Wario then, either due to truly not caring or through a great display of reverse psychology, claims that they don't need her anyways. Ashley's quick to prove him wrong by saying, "Please, of course you do," with her final notable line being "whatever" after the stage is cleared. When it comes to Japanese Ashley in this scene, remember how I said her dialogue is very limited? When the group first arrives, the only thing she does is sigh. After Wario's demand, she simply says, "I won't go," followed by her smacking her teeth when Wario states they don't need her. And she ends her stage by not saying anything. I feel like my words alone aren't enough to fully explain why this distinction is so important. Ashley's limited and more reserved dialogue, mixed with her young voice and third person speak, makes it so that her Japanese depiction can't work outside of its region of origin. It makes sense why outside of Japan, Nintendo made her different. I can't exactly explain why they made her the way they did. Maybe we have a bit of a Ghost Story situation here, not to that extreme, where she was likely changed to make her work in regions outside of Japan, even if it meant aging her up, which will explain why they want the statement deleted above all else. In conclusion, Ashley outside of Japan can be vaguely argued to be a teenager. If you want to be exact, you could say she's 15 years old, as there wouldn't be much to counter that, as there's nothing that really groups her in with the younger members of WarioWare. As for her original Japanese counterpart, due to her voice and third person speak unique to children, you can argue that she's intended to be young alongside the younger members of WarioWare. As for how old exactly, I don't think there's an answer to that. In terms of range, she's at least no older than 10 years old. But with that said, tell me your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe to keep up with the channel's content. Until next time, see ya.